All rise. Lebanon, Indiana has a new city judge, but he's not new in town. Judge Alex Kruse joins us for episode 150 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. Alex shares his continued fondness for his hometown, why he gravitated towards the legal field, and what you can expect now that he's officially been sworn in as Lebanon City Judge. Episode 150 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 150, the big 150 here on the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage. I am the Community Development Director for the City of Lebanon. We've got a first here on the podcast. We've got Lebanon's brand new city judge, Alex Kruse, joining us here on the pod this time around. Judge Kruse, thanks for being here on the podcast.
Hey, Joe, thanks a lot. It's truly an honor. It's a treat. Stoked to be here.
Has it sunken in yet? And when I say Judge Kruse, how does that make you feel? Are you used to that yet?
Well, in a way, yeah. The courthouse sheriff deputies have been kind of razzing me ever since the election. The first couple of weeks after that, that was really a big shock when they were, I would show up at the courthouse for my regular job and all rise as I'm going through the security screening. And the first time it happened, caught me off guard, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then I realized, this is me. And so at first it was almost awkward. I don't want to say I'm shy, but I'm not a boastful person on a regular basis, at least. So it really caught me off guard. And after about a week, it finally got a raise out of me, got a smile, got a chuckle. And after a while, I kind of started to play into it a little bit. I can't remember off the top of my head some of the things I would do or say, but it was really back a couple months ago that it really hit me. Now it's kind of been like a ramp building up and getting to that crescendo. But I guess it was Monday night or Tuesday night we had our swearing in, and that was I guess kind of not quite the climax, but one of the first crescendos or whatever, if you're thinking about the old book telling. And climax might be the first session that we hold, but I've had a little time already to get used to being called Judge Kruse. And in fact, really going back to, I guess it may have been 2013, it's really not even the first time just recently I've been called Judge Kruse. It was, I was a young pup. This actually, maybe it was before 2013. That 2013 was when I started kind of doing more of what I'm doing now. But in 2011, 2012, I was a clerk for Judge Kincaid, and I got asked by Judge Edens at the time to fill in for him as Judge Pro Tem. And so I was in his chambers trying to get ready, and here comes Supreme Court Justice David, and he's like, "Judge Kruse," and I was like, "Whoa." I guess today I am a judge. So it's kind of, I don't know, been building up a little bit for this particular role. It really did kind of hit me earlier this week at the swearing in. And of course, if anybody watched or listened, fumbled my oath a little bit. So now I kind of wonder if I'm the mayor as well.
well, everybody, if you happen to listen to that, it was at our city council meeting on Monday, the second week in January. Now, if we can set the stage, though, there was, to truth be told, some fumbling, but I think Judge Shine kind of gave you some long sentences to regurgitate there and repeat after her. But also, and everybody, you'll see on the graphic for this podcast episode, there are two young ladies that are there next to your wife that are acting a fool up there as well. There's a lot to take in, and it's kind of a pressure-packed situation. It's not as easy as, hey, repeat after me. It's like maybe 2 words. I mean, this was repeat after me, and this was a sentence or two plus 2 little ones going ape up there in the front, kind of doing what little kids do.
Definitely a deer in the headlights to say. I had been listening to the people going before me, trying to kind of visualize and remember what that middle. It was about the middle of the pack that you had to remember this big long sentence.
Yeah, it's wordy too. It's not like
yeah.
it was those short little staccato words. These were long ones.
And so I was trying to do that for the mayor, and then the clerk treasurer, and then it got to me, and it came my turn to speak, and just blanked. And but I guess I recovered, as if you will, and got across the line to the end zone to get it done.
You got it in. I mean, it didn't matter. It didn't matter how you got there. You got there, and you got to the destination at the end. Everybody, we're talking with the City of Lebanon's newly elected judge, Alex Kruse, Judge Kruse, here on episode 150 of the Love and Lebanon podcast. But it's sunken in. You're kind of getting used to it now. You're kind of leaning into it a little bit. What has it been for a Lebanon guy like yourself to be able to serve the public where in a city where you grew up and call home and are raising a family, to be able to be the judge of the city here where you live?
I mean, it's an honor. I mean, really, I know that we have several residents that live in town. I, of course, saw there's only 986 votes or something. I was hoping that more people would turn out to vote, but the number that I did get shows, hey, there's a solid grand or so of people that are registered to vote and willing to put their faith in me, and so that's a good proportion of the population here. I like you said, I grew up here. My thoughts and goals for my future have kind of changed over time. To be honest, when I was a real little kid, I mean, I'm talking, 4, 5, 6, I wanted to be a truck driver, and of course that didn't turn out. I'm not to say anything bad about it. It's certainly a lucrative business.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see a lot of sights,
for sure.
See a lot of things, eat a lot of good foods, I bet. But for whatever reason, it just didn't go that route. Of course, went to school, and if you'd asked me 10 or 15 years ago if this is what I wanted to do, this is what I saw, I would say definitely not. Not to say that I'm unhappy where I am, but 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was about 20 years ago. I graduated from Lebanon High School here in 2004, so coming up on our 20-year anniversary. Yeah. So, 20 years ago, I was thinking about going, not just thinking, I'd been accepted to go to Purdue University up in West Lafayette, go Boilers, #1 right now. I hope we can keep that, but I was headed off to Purdue in the fall of 2004, and so, if you know, they don't have a law school there.
Yeah.
They have a pre-law program, but I was definitely not in that. I was in engineering. And so,
pretty good engineering though at Purdue.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Not to speak lightly about it. I mean, shoot, they got a few astronauts and a few people built some amazing buildings and
fantastic innovators for sure, no doubt about it.
Over time, kind of fell in love with. At first, it was I wanted to be an astronaut. That was kind of my goal in middle school. I went to a program, the acronym is STEP, Seminar for Top Engineering Prospects, and I did that. That was the summer before my senior year of high school, if I remember correctly. It was a week long. I got to stay on campus. They introduced us to many different kinds of engineering. There was some breakout sessions that, if you will, they didn't call them that, but they were breakout sessions where you got to pick 3 different fields of engineering that you got to learn more in depth about. And I had one of them was aerospace engineering. I think that's what they call it, the aerospace, but aeronautical, the air. Mm-hmm. One of them was electrical engineering. My mother's dad, so my maternal grandpa, had been a shop teacher in high school and kind of got some of the electrical engineering kind of input from him. Growing up, I mean, I remember building what you would call a crystal radio. I mean, I built a radio it was a kit, but I built my own radio in Grandpa's shop when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. So at a young age, I'm getting put into this electrical stuff. And so I wanted to learn more about that. And then the third one, I think was technically civil engineering. I can come back to that in a little bit, but those were kind of the three different areas. And when I was there, I really enjoyed the civil engineering part. And I don't know why that stuck out to me, but really, if I think about it, another part that I'd always really had in my life growing up was Lego.
Oh man, so you're a master builder, maybe?
Well, I'm not exactly keen on a lot of my own builds,
Gotcha.
mock, if you will, my own creation. But you give me a kit, give me the instructions, and it's
Knocking that sucker out.
oh
huh?
man, I can put some serious time into it. And so.
So how do you get from all that to the judicial system? How do you get from
So
point A to
yeah,
point B there?
when I was at Purdue, I actually went into it was construction engineering and management, and I did 3 summer internships with that. Got exposed to construction companies, a construction company, McCarthy Building Companies, their Texas division. So I got to live in San Antonio for a summer and Dallas for 2 summers. Got to work on some pretty cool stuff. One enormous hotel and condominium building literally right across the street from American Airlines Arena in Dallas.
Yeah.
Got exposed to that. Worked for Wilhelm Construction Company. They're big in Indianapolis, big in Lafayette as well. Built a lot of buildings at Purdue. Did some estimating in their estimating department for the summer after. And by that time, I had made the decision I wanted to go to law school. But the reason that I decided I wanted to go to law school was I knew that if I did, like a business degree, it would kind of keep me in the same path. If I did more engineering, it would kind of keep me in the same path. I thought, okay, if I get a law degree, I can at least have another path to draw upon. And so when I first started law school, I really wanted to do something construction or engineering and law related. That's what my real goal was. But if you go back to 2008, if you remember the housing crisis all those good times, the economy was not very good at the time. And so it was kind of a rough time to start school, law school. I mean, I can't remember what it was. I was going to a Pacers game or a Colts game with my dad and family or something like that. And it was in the evening. We were listening to the radio, and they were announcing how Bose McKinney, an enormous law firm in Indianapolis, was laying off their lawyers. I mean, it was not a good time to get into private practice, so to say. And so I did the best I could to try and get into some sort of engineering or construction realm. I did a clerkship with technically it might be a small or medium-sized firm. They had 10 to 20 lawyers in downtown Indianapolis. Their office was located in Indiana Square, and had some great time with them. Unfortunately, so let me back up a minute. They handled the Indianapolis Library. If you remember, they had a big issue with the construction on one of their parking garages on the downtown main campus, and so the law firm I worked for had been handling that litigation. It was up here in Boone County as well, and I got to sit in for some of the trial because I was in law school. My dad was also involved with it, and so was aiming for that niche. But come third year of law school, it was just after Thanksgiving, and maybe the first week of December, the partners at the law firm said, well, Bose McKinney Evans is buying us out. We're not all going, so we're going to be kind of splitting things up. And they didn't take any of the clerks with them. They didn't take all the support staff. And so about halfway through my my third year, maybe call it a senior year at law school, I guess I should say I went to IU McKinney. I'm used to calling it IU Indianapolis, but IU McKinney in Indianapolis. It was right around 2010 New Year into 2011, and after talking with some of the partners there about, hey, are you guys going to be hiring? And come to find out there's not even a job going to be available there. And so I sent out I had to have been over 100 resumes in the spring of 11, and got a response from 2 law firms. One of them said, sorry, none available. Another firm in Lafayette was interested, but didn't get the job. And so, at that point, it was kind of like, well, yeah, I've been given lemons. Let's try to make lemonade. It doesn't always turn out that way, but I don't want to say that you get lemons and you can always make lemonade. Sometimes you just get lemon juice, but I did the best I could to make lemonade. So, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Unfortunately, I had to get through the bar exam that summer, so I stayed in Indy to focus on studying. I like to say that was the worst summer of my life because it was nonstop studying. I mean, even more than what you do in high school or law school. I mean, it was from sun up to sundown. Thankfully, I got into a good prep program to prepare for it, and they had a nice framework to follow, and passed the bar, and still didn't have any hope for finding a job in the construction market, even after reaching out to family, friends, and friends of friends, and business acquaintances, and nothing clicked. And so, like I said, saw the writing on the wall. It's, well, okay, it's moving back home for me. So honestly, I left law school without a job, and I was kind of bummed, to be honest. But it gave me an opportunity to come back to Lebanon. As I mentioned a little while ago, Judge Kincaid was willing to let me be his clerk for at least 6 months. Had fun doing that. He's the judge in Boone Superior Court 1, and kind of got to open some doors in that realm. I, first got my taste of what it's like to be, I don't want to call it a small town lawyer, but that's kind of, if you go back 20 years ago, that might be what you might call it. But, Lebanon's not that small anymore, and certainly growing. But I kind of call it maybe a county practice, a local practice, if you will. And so I really got to have a taste for what do you do here? Because if you're going to do construction, you're either in a big law firm or in a what I might call a boutique law firm that specializes in only construction. And usually those are guys and gals that have worked in the big law firms and have decided to move out on their own and have enough clients that go with them, because when it comes down to it, the client gets to choose the lawyer. The lawyer doesn't choose the client. And so if you're lucky enough to move out on your own in the construction realm, then you do it and you keep doing it. But that didn't pan out. So I got a taste of what it was like to be local, and it really grew on me. Seeing that realm from the eyes of a lawyer, and then from a judge as well, because I like I mentioned, I got to be judge pro tem and fill in for some initial hearings and things like that. You get a taste for what's black and white. Engineering, you plug in the numbers, there's one answer. 1 + 1 definitely equals 2. When you deal with the legal world, you have a lot of gray areas, and that's one thing my dad mentioned. Is it was frustrating for me in law school because the law school loves to just bounce around in that gray area. But when it comes down to it, there's still some black and white principles that have to be applied, and that's kind of what the judge was there to do, and that's what I got to see. And so that's where the local work has kind of grew on me. And so, again, this is back in 2013 when I finally got to join a local firm here, Tom Whitson and Dennis Williams. Larry Giddings had recently left. Amy Nooning, they were willing to take me in. I remember in my interview, I said, I just want an opportunity to work. I just want to start somewhere. And so they took me in. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where else I'd be right now. So I'm grateful for that experience. And it really started to blossom from there for where I am now. Gotcha. Because like I said, I got a taste for the local work. I don't do just one thing. I do... I could rattle them off, but I'll just tell you I do a lot of different things, and no 2 days are the same in any given week, a given year, and so, this morning I was dealing with criminal law. This afternoon I'm going to be dealing with some juvenile delinquency stuff. Earlier in the week I'm dealing with some family law stuff, protection order stuff, dealing with estate planning. I had, I went to the we're trying to look for a bigger house because we got one on the way.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we got baby 3 on the way.
Baby 3. Everybody, we're breaking news here. Judge Kruse.
So, yeah.
So the 2 young ones you see in the picture, we can Photoshop another baby in there if you want to.
Yeah.
You guys want to juggle while taking the oath of office.
Baby 3 was there with us.
In the oven. Gotcha.
Bun in the oven. But I was at the bank the other day trying to get some paperwork dropped off and talking to one of the bankers and mentioned something about trust. And so I got to talk about trusts and some of those things. And so I'm constantly bouncing around. And I kind of like that because, my mother, when I was going through law school, she said, hey, IP law, intellectual property might be right up your alley. And it's like, I think I could do it. I think I'd be great at it, but I don't think I want to do just one thing. I don't want to be cooped up in my office all the time as well. And so sometimes I wonder where things may have gone if I had looked in other areas or not even gone to law school. Mm-hmm. But now I'm here. And I'm kind of glad to be here. So
yeah. Everybody, we're talking with Lebanon City Judge Alex Kruse here on episode 150 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. We appreciate you listening to Alex's kind of backstory and what got him into his love of the judicial system and kind of where things have gone now. And I think that this goes right into your skill set with a Lebanon City Judge because you mentioned your love for being able to do different things in the course of even one day. And it sounds like being a city judge is going to fit right in that line too. A lot of different things going to be coming your way as city judge. You've got to be excited about that as well, to be able to serve Lebanon in so many different facets.
Yeah. And I'm excited because, this is a part-time job. I don't even want to say job. It's a career, if you will. Mm-hmm. Job is something you do. A career is something you love. It's kind of what I think about.
Oh, there we go.
So for several years now, I've wanted something more, but to be honest, there's not a whole lot of law firms in Lebanon. And, the people have asked, well, why don't you go work with your dad? And so they don't take in family members. They've not had a lot of good experiences, and so they just don't do it. And they help out in other ways. They go see Alex for this because we don't do that. So they've been able to help out in other ways. So they send me a lot of referral work, but that wasn't really something I could do. When I moved back home, it was Giddings, Whitsitt, and Williams. That was about one of the only other law firms in town besides Taylor, Manette, Schneider, Clutter. It's only 4 names now, but I've thought about it. And back in 2019, I wanted to do things more my way. So I got out on my own, and it's certainly been good. It's been tough at times, but like I was saying, I've wanted something more, something to add on to what I do, not necessarily take away from it. But the city judge opened up, and it was like, wow, I've enjoyed looking at things from a judge's perspective. I don't necessarily want to try to run against any of the judges in the county courts because it's just not very common, and I'm not sure that I would want to be a county judge yet. If there was an opening, maybe, but there's not an opening, and so I didn't want to try to push my way in. I kind of wanted to have an election that there's an opening, and let's see who can fill it. And so this opened up, and like you said, there's going to be some newer, different things. And I think that having experience in a lot of different ways will help me to look at what comes into the court and try to apply the law as the law is supposed to be applied.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about earlier in the podcast, playing around in kind of the gray area, but finding some definitive, black and white as well. What types of things do you see being on your plate as city judge when you started to get into this and having conversations with people? I'm guessing it just wasn't the 2-hour parking downtown.
Well, that's certainly one of the topics.
That was one of the main catalysts.
I know that's going to be on there just because I've worked on the square since 2013, so I'm very acquainted with the 2-hour parking, the parking enforcement. I'm aware that it is something the city has and has not been able to really enforce in the last year or two because there were some unhappy citizens that didn't like the fact that they didn't really have a judicial arena to have their voices heard.
Yeah. Be able to appeal, things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to have a voice like yours, being able to.
Yeah. And so certainly that's going to be a topic, I'd imagine. In fact, there have been a few scenarios where people have approached me in my private practice about, hey, got this zoning ordinance issue. I'm like, oh, are you talking city? Yeah. Oh, well, I don't think I can help you because I'm going to be the judge. And if this turns into litigation, I'm going to be hearing it. So I'm sorry, but hopefully whoever sent you my way can give you another referral. I've had some there is an ordinance regarding the parking of recreational vehicles, campers, if you will. Yeah. Campers, and there's certain ways to store it. There's so long to keep it on your property, or you can't just park it there for a month. I mean, if it's there for a couple of days, that's fine. But if I remember correctly, after about 2 or 3 days, it needs to be moved, or else you need to have your proper fencing or proper covers, whatever it is, to comply with city ordinances. And so I imagine that might pop up. Of course, there's going to be maybe city health inspector stuff, anything that might fall under the city code, if you will. If there is someone that is deemed to be in violation of the code and city wants to do something about it, then now they've got a city court again to file a petition, give the person their notice of the petition, give them their opportunity for hearing. And as I try to explain to a lot of my clients that are new to the court system at all, whether it's criminal or civil, due process. That's really what I think when it came down to the parking, that was the biggest part, was people didn't feel like they had an opportunity for due process. Yeah. So. Yeah. Like I said, it's notice and an opportunity for hearing. And the method that was in place for the last several years, I looked it up, and I believe that it may have been a legal process, but nonetheless, our citizens were not happy with it. So it just dawned on me, we got plenty of golf carts and other kind of...
We have a few golf carts.
I hope to one day maybe have one. Of course, you got to have a little extra money for that. I don't want to say that I'm hurting, but 2, now 3 kids on the way, trying to keep your house up and try to have a little other amenities has not permitted me to invest in a golf cart yet. But I know that you can't ride them on the state highway, so that might be an issue, or parking it, who knows. So,
but once those kiddos get a little bit older, buddy, they're going to want that golf cart. They're going to want to get around on that thing and have you drive.
I would love to have one.
How is it going to work? You talked about a part-time job for you. Part-time office hours, that type of thing. I know everybody, we're going to put Judge Kruse's info, how you can contact him in the body of this podcast. But is it going to be one of those things where people can come in and see you, or is it going to be more so of the reaching out via the city platforms to be able to make contact and being able to like you mentioned, now they do have that due process, being able to ask questions of a judge to help make heads or tails of what's happening. Regular office hours, that type of thing. Do you know how it's going to work yet? I know it's new in the process.
Yeah, that's like you said, it's new. It's to be determined. I know that in some of the planning for the budget this past fall, it came up that Zionsville might be a good model. I mean, they're 20 years ago, they were definitely not the size of Lebanon, but now they're running mates, essentially. Yeah. They're growing, and so Zionsville Town Court might be a good model to follow. So I don't want to put any definites on it, but I've kind of looked at how Zionsville's website, and certainly I might talk to their judge a little bit more. I've reached out to her already for a couple questions, but in the planning, I think that with Zionsville Town Court, it looks like they might have like office hours. And I don't know if the judge is in for these. I think it might be more of administrative kind of office hours for the court staff, because some people may not want to contest anything, and they may want to pay whatever tickets they have, and so just having the court in session is not enough. And so, if I remember correctly, I think that Zionsville's Town Court has like administrative office hours, a couple days a week for 4 hours a day. I think that's what they do. And then the court, the judge she herself is only in session for one night a month for anything that actually requires a hearing. Certainly there's stuff that happens behind the scenes. I don't know exactly how much she deals with behind the scenes yet as well either, but as far as if there's going to be a hearing, I think they do that once a month. I forget what night. And talking with the council last fall for some of the budget ideas and how the mechanics of this might work, I think we realized that, it might be best for Lebanon to also be in session one night a month. I'm not sure what day or week, but might be like the third Wednesday of the month is kind of what I'm thinking, maybe at least for when we got to be in session on the record. And so that's kind of what I think the mechanics of it will be. I know that Tanya Thayer, our clerk treasurer, mentioned that she would like to get a meeting scheduled sometime soon to get more details hammered out, because certainly we're up and running technically, but we don't have all the necessary parts. Certainly I'm going to need some staff. Going to have to hire someone, maybe two. I have no idea yet. But certainly I can't do this on my own because I do have a regular full-time job that I'm already doing. And a lot of this stuff you don't need me to do. Like I was saying, the administrative stuff, I don't need to be there taking money for parking tickets. So I'm not even sure that it would be the city wanted to budget for that. I'd be open to it, but I don't think they want to pay me that much to do it. So they can get someone with the right qualifications and save a little money for the citizenry of our city, and take money and other processing on those administrative hours. So that's kind of what I see going forward for kind of the logistics of city court. But we're certainly going to need what's called a case management system. There's a group at the state level that helps out with that. The Supreme Court, they have a whole bunch of different departments or divisions, and they've got a division for administrative services. And so, of course, they've reached out and said, hey, Odyssey, it's free. It integrates with pretty much every other county in the state. It's if you want to use something else, you can. You're not required to, but certainly if you want to, I'm used to it from the lawyer's end at my private practice, and I think it's great because 15 years ago, before we made the move to e-filing. I guess I've only been practicing for 12 years now. So I'm thinking, let's go back just 10 years ago. Every county may have had a different case management system. And in order to get records on any one person, you might have to go through 2 or 3 different case management systems and try to figure out how it works first, and then try to figure out where the records are. But now with Odyssey, you can find it online at mycase.in.gov. You can pretty much look up anyone in the state. You can search by name, cause number, county. You can do some advanced searches by just criminal, civil, probate, which has to do with estates and guardianships, and so you can narrow it down. And I know Zionsville Town Court's on there, Elwood City Court's on there, Carmel City Court's on there. Just, I think, makes sense to be on there because the Supreme Court since 2015 or so has been making a push for all the courts to be in one system. And I just think it makes sense to be in that system. So as far as case management goes, I think that was how we're going to do it is the Odyssey program from the Supreme Court, because if we have a problem, who better to reach out to than someone from the Supreme Court office?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Judge Kruse, Alex, thanks so much for being here on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the city government. And again, everybody, you can find Judge Kruse's info on the body of this podcast. We'll also have a webpage for it as well, where you can contact him and be able to just reach out for whatever reason that you see fit. Again, Judge, appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It was great. I'm excited, had fun, and I look forward to seeing people. I hope that no one takes offense if I don't answer their questions in the coming days, because as a judge, I can't really give advisory opinions, can't make comments on cases. So I hope no one gets offended if I have to tell them that. But certainly if there's questions about process, how do I get to court, or where do I find something online, I'd be happy to help point you in the direction.
Very good info there. Very much appreciated. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Lebanon podcast. More episodes are coming your way. We'll chat again soon. Take care.